Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Since his introduction in One Piece, Dracula Mihawk has always been portrayed as the world's greatest swordsman. His name carries legendary weight, feared by pirates, marines, and even fellow warlords. However, a key moment in Roronoa Zoro's journey hinted that Mihawk, calm and confident as he is, felt something close to fear, or at least deep respect for the potential of the Straw Hat Swordsman. This theory seeks to uncover why Mihawk felt that way, and what exactly he saw in Zoro that led him to take him on as an apprentice and eventually recognize him as the one person who could possibly surpass him. To understand this, we need to revisit some key moments. From their first encounter at the Barati, the gap in power between Zoro and Mihawk was immense. Zoro, wielding his three swords and all his determination, was defeated without Mihawk even standing up. But what caught Mihawk's attention wasn't Zoro's strength, it was his will. The same kind of will Mihawk had only seen in figures like Shanks, Roger, or even Garp. A ridiculous level of ambition combined with an emotional resistance to any kind of defeat. Zoro didn't shy away from pain or run from humiliation. On the contrary, he opened his arms and asked to be cut down head-on, swearing he would never lose again. And Mihawk saw something in that moment. It wasn't just youthful arrogance, it was the spark of something incredibly rare in the world, an unbreakable spirit. Over the years, Zoro kept growing, but the most defining moment in their relationship came during the time skip. After being defeated by Kuma and sent to the Island of Women, Zoro made the choice to swallow his pride and ask the very man he vowed to surpass him for training. Mihawk agreed, but with one condition. Zoro had to prove he was worthy. And Zoro didn't just prove himself, he exceeded every expectation. His dedication to training was insane. Fighting human drills, surviving deadly traps every day, and learning to read his surroundings with near supernatural precision, all without ever complaining or asking for an easier path. Now here's the core of the theory. Mihawk agreed to train Zoro because for the first time since claiming the title of world's greatest swordsman, he saw in someone not just the possibility of rivalry, but a real threat. That might seem contradictory, considering Mihawk's always calm demeanor and rarely shown emotions. But careful readers have noticed something. His language shifts when talking about Zoro. He never underestimates him, ever. In fact, when Zoro refuses to fight the human drills using weapons that aren't his own, Mihawk doesn't mock him. He watches. When Zoro begins to grasp more refined Haki techniques, Mihawk observes silently, analyzing every detail. And there's one moment that's easy to miss. The look Mihawk gives when Zoro slices a ship in half with a single swing during training. It's not a look of a proud teacher, it's a look of caution. So what did Mihawk see? The answer might lie in Conqueror's Haki. Even before Zoro fully manifested this Haki in Wano, many fans theorized he had it. But when Zoro used advanced Conqueror's Haki in his fight against King, it confirmed not only that he possessed it, but that his mastery was on a legendary level. Zoro was able to coat his blades in this rare Haki, something only the greatest swordsmen like Roger, Shanks, and Odin had done. That changes everything. Mihawk, being a master of both swordsmanship and Haki, likely sensed this dormant ability early on. Even if Zoro didn't know it by name or how to control it, his spirit roared loudly enough for Mihawk to notice. And this type of Haki can't be taught. It's innate. Only King's natural leaders, people born to stand at the top, can awaken it. So, imagine Mihawk's reaction. After reigning supreme for decades and defeating all challengers, he suddenly meets a young man who, even wounded and unarmed, has a spark reminiscent of Gold D. Roger. That would explain why Mihawk, despite his pride, chose to train Zoro. It wasn't out of kindness, it was instinct. The instinct of someone who knew that if he didn't train this boy, he'd still be surpassed anyway. But perhaps in a wild, uncontrolled way. There's another important detail. Mihawk is known for his sharp vision, symbolized by his hawk-like eyes. Oda doesn't use symbols by accident. Mihawk's eyes likely aren't just for aesthetics, he quite literally sees potential in others. He sees deeper than the surface. His eyes might detect latent Conqueror's Haki, or sense the aura of a warrior destined for greatness. When Mihawk first saw Zoro, he saw a reckless kid. But after years of watching and testing him, he began to see something else, and maybe that something shook him. What makes this theory even more compelling is Mihawk's behavior after the time skip. He becomes increasingly isolated. Even when he's forced to join Buggy in the Cross Guild, he doesn't seem thrilled. He acts like someone waiting for the inevitable. And what if that inevitability is Zoro rising as the supreme swordsman? Maybe Mihawk isn't preparing to defeat Zoro, but to be defeated by him in the most honorable way possible. After all, Mihawk doesn't seek power out of vanity. He seeks a worthy opponent, a duel that truly matters. And Zoro, with his Conqueror's Haki, his insane endurance, and his promise made in the face of total defeat, might just be that man. One more interesting observation. Mihawk tends to avoid interfering in major world events. During the Marineford War, he mostly just watches. He refuses to go all out against Luffy. Some say he was just testing the boy, but what if he already knew that Luffy and Zoro were bound by a greater destiny? What if Mihawk was simply making sure those two survived long enough to fulfill their roles? Mihawk, as the world's strongest swordsman, is not someone who's easily impressed. He's faced legendary opponents, clashed swords with Shanks at the height of his power, and has never shown surprise or fear in battle. And yet, throughout the One Piece saga, in subtle moments, it's clear that his relationship with Zoro goes beyond that of a mere master and student. There's a quiet respect that at times even seems to hint at a cautious kind of fear. And part 2 of this theory dives deeper into that. Why does Mihawk, the pirate hunter who became the greatest living swordsman, see something in Zoro that's as dangerous as it is inspiring? During the time skip training, Mihawk didn't just teach Zoro sword techniques. He allowed Zoro to live among the sword-wielding monkeys of Kuraigana Island, where he had to survive before even being deemed worthy of training. That alone shows that Mihawk saw brutal potential in Zoro, enough to risk his life as part of the lesson. But more than that, Mihawk saw an opportunity to test just how far Zoro's fighting spirit could go. And when he realized that not even complete defeat, humiliation at the hands of Kuma, or having to beg his greatest rival for help broke Zoro's will, Mihawk saw that there was something much deeper in that young man. And what would catch Mihawk's attention more than the Conqueror's Haki that Zoro has already shown signs of? A power Mihawk likely doesn't possess. This ability, which sets kings apart from ordinary warriors, was something Mihawk probably sensed during their training. Maybe not in full force, but enough to make him realize Zoro also carries the Haki of a king, something many believed was exclusive to Luffy within the crew. And for Mihawk, who has dueled Shanks countless times, it would be impossible not to recognize what that means. He's not just training any swordsman, he's shaping someone who might one day surpass him. Someone with the same intimidating presence, the same hunger to win, the same ambition to reach the top, and more importantly, someone who carries all that with honor and unwavering resolve. But the strongest evidence for this theory lies in how coldly Mihawk observed Zoro's growth after the time skip. He didn't try to interfere, didn't ask to see his progress, didn't even express interest in meeting him again, because he knows that meeting will come naturally. Mihawk isn't a villain, but he's also not someone who wants to lose his title, and he sees in Zoro the one person who will inevitably take that throne from him. That's not ordinary fear. That's the quiet dread of the inevitable, and this aligns with something Oda himself hinted at. Mihawk is known as the greatest swordsman in the world, but we've never seen him go all out in a fight. He doesn't seem to need to prove anything, except when that opponent appears, the one who forces him to fight seriously for the first time in ages. And that person is Zoro. That's why what many mistake as fear or shock coming from Mihawk is, in truth, the rare recognition that someone who started from the bottom might soon reach him, and maybe even surpass him. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.